From a galaxy not too far from here, this is Going Rogue. I'm Andrew Dimalanta.
And I'm Nicki Dimalanta.
And we are here to talk about the Kenobi show.
Sure.
Yeah. Sure. We just watched the finale, yesterday?
Yeah.
And got a lot of thoughts.
It was a good one.
So we're not going to go episode by episode. I just want to give
I couldn't do that.
We just overall thoughts of the Kenobi show. But first, just leading up to this, I mean, I was super excited for this show. Obi-Wan, no shock, is my favorite character, and I think from the very start, because we were fortunate enough to see the premiere at Star Wars Celebration, which was
pretty cool.
That was an experience in itself. And then we also got to see the first episode again with friends, which is another great experience.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of buzz around the show, a lot of another type of show that kind of splits the fandom. And it drives me nuts. And it drives me nuts sometimes, but overall thoughts, just so we'll get to that, but what are your overall thoughts on Kenobi, the entire show?
I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
I had fun with it. I wasn't see, that's the thing. When I go into a show or a movie, I go in with not a lot of expectations, because I'm just I don't know, I'm just here to have a good time. Mm-hmm. And I feel a lot of times when people go in with well, I hope I see this, and then it doesn't happen, and then they get mad. And then it takes away from their enjoyment of the show. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I usually go in with high hopes, but really no specific things that I want to see in mind.
Yeah.
So I really wasn't sure what to expect. I just knew that I was going to get Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen back together. And that's what I was most excited about.
You were super excited for that.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. I was super excited to see the two of them back together. I did not realize that we were going to see, I don't know. I don't know if people who were really paying attention thought that this was coming, but I had no idea that we were going to see baby Leia or so much of her.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun, and she's so
freaking cute. I remember watching the premiere when the second Ultron shows up, and you're like, "Oh, where are we?" And I'm literally slapping in the leg. I'm like, "It's Ultron! It's Ultron! It's Ultron!"
Yeah, we were sitting in the galaxy stage with hundreds of people. Probably all we got COVID, but as soon as Alderaan comes on the screen, I'm just and you and everybody else in the room is I'm like, how do you know where we are already? And I don't think it's until I saw Bria and and what we thought was Leia, in the first episode, that I was like, oh, okay, I'm with you now. I got it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. All I knew was that we were getting Ewan and Hayden, and I was like, yeah, I'm down for the ride. So everything else was just kind of icing on the cake for me. So, I'm overall very satisfied. I wish there was a couple more episodes.
Yeah. I over throughout the overall arching, I do have small little things here and there of the show,
of course,
but overall I love this show so much. Clearly I'm biased because this is my favorite character, but I like the story they gave us.
Yeah.
And where because I hear a lot of people online is oh, what terrible character development. I'm like, are you watching the same show?
Please spare me.
Obi-Wan is a completely different character from the beginning of the show to the end of the show. Completely different character.
Yeah.
He's a different character from when we last see him in Revenge to the beginning of the show. He's so vastly different. And I like that we got... I've heard people comparing this story of Obi-Wan to Luke in The Last Jedi, just done slightly better. You know what I mean?
You think Obi-Wan's done slightly better?
Yeah, they think Obi-Wan's story from going from the broken hero to becoming the hero that we know he could be. I think the difference here is we know where Obi-Wan ends up. We know that he is meant to be that mentor to Luke, and when we see him at the beginning of the show, it's wait, what?
Yeah.
Why is he so he doesn't even want to get involved in anything. He doesn't want to help anybody. He just wants to lay low.
So it's bury your lightsaber, bro. I don't want any part of it.
Yeah, exactly. And the same can be said about Luke in The Last Jedi, except
he threw it away.
He threw it away, and he wants nothing to do with being a Jedi. He just exiled himself, just like I said, I'm here to die. Right. Basically. And by the end of that, he becomes that hopeful spark of hope that we want, that Luke Skywalker is.
Yeah.
And I think the difference with this one is obviously it's a TV show, so we have more time to develop that story over the course of basically 6 hours.
Yeah.
So I kind of agree with that. I do like how we get to see Obi-Wan go from being this hopeless, like barely a shade of what he once was, to rediscovering his powers and rediscovering himself and rediscovering his purpose for the twins.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like with Luke's story in The Last Jedi, it was more about like he had to like rediscover. It wasn't necessarily rediscovering himself. He knew himself very well.
Yeah.
I think that it was more about him rediscovering or reframing what his purpose is and how he fits in to this, to, I was going to say the story. It's very fourth wall breaky, like rediscovering or refamiliarizing himself with what is he actually here to do and what are some of his, what's his purpose. I think Obi-Wan's story was more of a finding himself again because Luke knew exactly who he was. And he, I mean, I'm sure there's somebody out there who would argue that they're the same, but like, I feel like Luke's is more like, oh, right, this is my place and this is what I'm supposed to do. And Obi-Wan was more about like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to do this because I'm better than this. And well, I mean, they both are rekindling their purpose in the galaxy, in the galaxy. But I just feel like Obi-Wan is more getting him back in touch with himself. I don't know. I know that they do have very similar stories. I feel like it's very slightly different. A similar arc, but I just think there's something a little bit different. I don't know that I would say one is necessarily better than the other because I do believe that they're slightly the same story, different shades. Yeah. Different fonts, if you will, people say nowadays. But yeah, I enjoy the Obi-Wan story because it's similar. They're both broken shells of the men they used to be. And the motivations are different. Yeah. Because that is, Obi-Wan made a promise that he was faced with, okay, well, are you a man of integrity? Are you going to keep that promise? Granted, his promise was only to Luke. Yeah. But he still had a loyalty. So he was like, he had to come to terms with what are your values and do you still hold up to your values even though you're not so sure about the Force and the Jedi religion. Coming to terms with that and like, are you still who we thought who you were? And Luke's, I don't know. Luke's was, it wasn't necessarily a promise. It was just, maybe I was wrong and maybe I can correct my mistakes from the past. I can remake my story. Yeah, I failed a student or two in the past. A student, mainly. Yeah. I failed my student. My nephew. I failed my nephew a little bit in the past. But here I have a new chance to right my wrongs. So, in so many words. So, yeah. I really enjoyed Obi-Wan. Yeah. I think it was a similar story, but I think it was also incredibly well done. I do like how it connects the past, the prequel era to the original era, because there's like that big gap. Like I said, like we got to see this. These new Star Wars stories have a way of giving me something that I didn't really think I needed. Because like after Revenge, it's like, all right, he stays on the planet, he watches over Luke, make sure he doesn't get in danger, and he trains his mind and communicating with Qui-Gon. That's really it. It's chills in a sand hut. Yeah. But then the very first episode, it's like, oh, he doesn't want anything to do with the Jedi, and he just wants to make sure that Luke is safe. Right. And when the time does come, he'll pick up the saber again and train Luke. But there's another thing that I really, really enjoyed. Like you said, I was surprised at how much Leia we got. Yeah. Like I was expecting it to be, the first episode he goes off and then that's really all we get. But Leia is the driving force behind this series. Absolutely. It's what gets him off Tatooine. And I love that with these new stories, we're starting to validate characters. Not that the character of Leia needed any validating. Right. But I like how, because there's a lot of fans that might say, like, Leia's just a side character in Luke's story. I like from I think the second episode or the first episode. It might be the first episode where Bail basically says to Obi-Wan, well, what's your responsibility to his sister? Right. She's just as important. She's like, yeah, she is. They're twins. Yeah. If, you know what I mean? Because it's like they're both equal. And I would argue that, like, from recent stories we've gotten, like, Leia should have been the one that was trained over Luke, because even Yoda thought Leia was the one that should have been trained to take on Vader. Yeah. Well, I saw somebody somewhere say, like, and this is, again, the limitations of how Star Wars has been told historically. well, you can't help that the first one was made in 1977.
Yeah.
Yeah, there might be some inconsistencies here and there because usually people don't go and tell the middle of the story first and then like decades later be like, oh, this is how we got there. Like it's gonna, some of those things are gonna be hard to connect. Like I saw somebody say like, how could Obi-Wan in the Kenobi show have witnessed everything that Leia did? This tiny little 10-year-old, 9-year-old, 10-year-old girl. She like single-handedly was able to crawl into that little wire space and open the thing and so that they could escape. And she was just so, I forget all those words that he used to describe her, that she was
fearless and passionate and
headstrong and all those kinds of, well, that probably wasn't the right word, but like, yes, all those words that he used to describe her. He firsthand got to see her at 10 years old display all these characteristics, yet in A New Hope, he was like, well, not A New Hope, but in the original trilogy, he was like, that boy's our lost hope. It's like, that sounded kind of Scottish. But like, how could he have witnessed tiny baby child Leia do all these things and still be like, it's the boy? I think that that's just a shortcoming of how the story's been told. They didn't know back in 77 that in 2022 they'd be making the show where baby Leia would be so awesome and fearless and ready to fight. And she, I mean, something else that I'd like to get into that we haven't yet is that this baby tiny 10-year-old girl stared an Inquisitor face in the eye and defied her. If that's not a fighter's heart and a fighter's spirit, I don't know what is. So yeah, I do like that Bail was like, what makes him any more important than her? They're both, she is just as important as he is. Not that he's any less important and she's more important. What makes her any less important than him? They're both right here with each other. So
that's what something I've loved, and there's something that like I said, I have small gripes with. I really wish they would have said Padme's name, because like you get glimpses and like little lines here and there, like, oh, like I remember, like you remind me of somebody. She's just as like fearless as you are. Or
didn't he actually say your mother, but he never said Padme?
That was one thing I really like. I wanted more about, like, I'm still seeking. If you haven't read the Queen's Shadow trilogy, that'll change your outlook on the character of Padme Amidala. And that was one thing I wish they would have done in the show, because not everybody reads the books. And a lot of people watching the show, it's like, I really wish they just give more validation to the mother, because she, like you said, she has all these qualities that Leia has and makes her a strong leader.
Right.
And you really, and we were talking about this, like, I really hope he mentions Padme to Vader in their final duel, because that would have been
her last words. Like in his last ditch effort to turn him, like, do you want to know what Padme said in her last moments?
Yeah, something like that.
I think that Vader would have been like, you're lying. You're just manipulating me like you always have. Like, it wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
I mean, we all knew what was going to happen, more or less.
Yeah, and that's one of the, like you said, that's one of the handcuffs of this show, is we know Vader's not going to die. We know Luke's not going to die. We know Leia's not going to die.
When Reva went to the Lars homestead, we all knew that Owen and Beru and Luke were going to be okay. Maybe they get beat up a little bit, but we all knew they were going to survive. So, and we knew that Vader wasn't going to actually kill Obi-Wan in the fire and blah, 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 blah. So that's one of the difficulties of telling a backstory, is that you know who's going to make it and who's, well, you don't necessarily know who's not going to make it. You just know who definitely will.
Yeah. I hear people online, it's like, it's plot armor, basically, because like you can't kill them because, well, obviously they're in the future thing. That's why I think the Inquisitor thing was kind of like, in episode 2, it's like, wait, what? That doesn't make sense, because he shows up in Rebels that takes place after this, and so
with the Grand Inquisitor.
Yeah, the Grand Inquisitor.
That's the thing, is that everyone poops their pants, and it's like, hey y'all, it's episode 2. Let's see what the F happens. Yeah. Like, how about we don't get our panties in a bunch until we see the whole product? Yeah. That's the way I look at it.
I do like how it's a 6-episode series, and like there's all these fanboys online. I'm not going to name names, but that are like, oh, I'm heartbroken by Kenobi because in the 4th episode it's not giving me a 1. It's like, wait, like you said, wait until the entire series wraps up. That's why we're doing an entire series wrap up, and not an episode by episode, because it's like, oh, I really hope this doesn't happen, or like I want this to happen. It's like, we're gonna get what we want. You just gotta wait a little bit, because if you look at this series, it's a 6-hour movie. The first 2 episodes are the first act. This next 2 episodes are the second act, and the last 2 episodes are the third act, which the last 2 episodes are by far the best 2 episodes.
Yeah.
So and you got everything you wanted in the last 2 episodes. You just had to wait a little bit.
Gotta wait a little bit. Yeah, it would like complaining at episode 2 or 3 or 4 or even complaining. Like, I can't believe they would do this because that messes this up and that shouldn't have happened, blah, blah, blah. That would be like going to see Titanic in the movie theater. And like just about midway through the movie, you get up and you get pissed and you leave and you're like, I don't even understand why they're on the boat still. It sinks in the end. Like it's
when is the ship gonna sink?
Like I don't understand why the ship hasn't sunk yet. I like this movie sucks. Like why are they dancing in a ballroom when we all know what's supposed to happen? You wait until the end of the movie. Spoiler alert, you're gonna find out the ship does sink. The Grand Inquisitor does survive. Spoilers, you probably should have watched this if you're watching this. Probably should have already watched Kenobi if you're watching this. Yeah. Oh, we gotta tell our friend Jason not to watch this.
Oh yeah,
because he hasn't watched this yet. So we gotta definitely tell him to steer clear of this. We should put a spoiler warning at the beginning, but it's also kind of like, hey, we're gonna talk about
Kenobi.
But yeah, complaining midway through a 6-part series would be like getting up in the middle of a movie and being like, this movie sucks. There's no resolution. Yeah, because you haven't watched the end. You haven't watched the whole thing yet. Could you imagine getting up in the middle of a movie? Well, I think we might have done that once.
Got up in the middle of a movie.
A movie has to be tremendously bad to move.
I've never actually gone up in the middle of a movie and left.
My parents did at home. We rented from Blockbuster.
Yeah,
I think they rented Men in Black 3.
Oh yeah,
and I think they didn't even get halfway. And they're like,
yeah,
we're done here. And then we just rewind, be kind, rewind, and we returned it.
Yeah, I've never done that with the movie, but like that, I think when going into a show like this, especially when we know it's only, as of before we watched this, like we knew it's just gonna be 6 episodes, a confined story, and that's it. Like it's not so much where the series ends, it's getting to the end that I really enjoyed, because there are some story beats in here that I was like, wow, I'm really glad they told that. I'm really glad they went there, because like I said, the journey of watching Kenobi going from this broken man to being that hero again it was so fascinating to watch. And every story beat they gave us was just like, yes, I love doing this, and I love that they're going there. I love that they're validating Leia. I love that we see Obi-Wan literally rediscover his strength.
Right.
And it happens in one episode, and how gradually in that episode he goes from like, because there's a scene when he's trying to grab his communicator and he's struggling to grab that communicator.
Yeah.
And it's such a small little thing. And I already forgot her name. The undercover Imperial. Tala. See, like she literally says, you need to rest, you need to recover, because not just physically, you're like, you can tell you're mentally like not there. And he's like, I'll be fine. And he does rediscover himself. And I love like that progression of, by the time we get to that final act, he's there.
Yeah.
And it's such a great journey to watch. And it's like, I never really went into this like, oh yeah, I already know what's going to happen. Right. I don't need to watch it. It's like, no, I do need to watch it, because there might be things in there that they show us, like how the Inquisitors headquarters is a tomb for Jedi that they hunt down.
Yeah.
And like there's more there, and there's more of the story. And I think there's another thing that the show gave us, like there's for all these answers that we got, we still have a million questions. Like, what are they doing with these Jedi? Why are they preserving their bodies? Who else do you have? Reva, we haven't touched on Reva yet. Like, as much hate as she got, I really enjoyed her character.
Loved Reva.
And people were like, what's the point of her? Why are you focused on her? It's like, she represents all of the failures that Obi-Wan thought he had with Anakin.
Sure.
And it's just another Vader that could be created this, but it's another way to help like Obi-Wan come to grips of what happened in the past and sort of like right those wrongs with somebody that he can't save this time.
Sure. I could see that. I feel like she's also a representation of I think she's a great embodiment of what makes a Sith a Sith. I know she's not a Sith, but like as a dark side user, I feel like she's a good representation of what a Sith is, and what like Anakin's shortcomings, some of Anakin's shortcomings were like, she's so impulsive and she's so driven by hate. And I just think it's ironic that like in episode 3, when Anakin pledges himself finally to Palpatine, and Palpatine tells him, you know, the Jedi are relentless. It's like, the Jedi are relentless. Wait until you meet Reva. Like, my God. So I think that she was a good embodiment of all of those, like the negative qualities of a Force user, of a dark side user. I know that there were a lot of people that thought that she like overacted it or she poorly acted it. She's poorly written, but which I didn't realize we had so many professional screenwriters and producers and directors out in the world on Twitter. My God. But I don't think she was poorly written. I liked her a lot. I think and there were some people that were like, she wasn't even intimidating. Yes, she was.
Oh yeah, she was.
Yes, she was.
Yeah.
I love Reva. I would have absolutely guessed and assumed that she would have died in the end.
Yeah, I was surprised that they didn't kill her off in a way.
Yeah.
I'm happy, but also like puzzled to like, all right, where does her story go from here?
That's another question.
That's another question.
Do we somehow get some sort of a spin-off where we get to explore more of Reva and what she does now? Does she now, maybe she turns her focus, well, her focus kind of was on Vader, we learned. But like, do we see her try to go after the Grand Inquisitor again? Because he kind of humiliated her. Does she try to continue going after Vader? We all know how that's going to end up for her. But maybe she tries to take vengeance on the Grand Inquisitor.
I think she's done with vengeance because like she said, like I couldn't, because like she was afraid that she was going to become Vader if she killed Luke, and she's like, I couldn't do it. So now she like Obi-Wan says, like, you're honoring the memory of your fallen like family of the Padawans that died with you in Order 66 or died alongside you in Order 66. Now I think her story is going to be more towards like righting wrongs that she did in the past. I can totally see her helping out other Jedi that are out there in the galaxy at the moment, try to find a path of like hiding and keeping out, like the group that
the path.
The path. I can see her going back and helping them out. But my problem is with all the other Jedi that show up in this era of Star Wars, like Cal Kestis is rumored to get his new spin-off show. I think we all know where their journey ends. Because by the time Return comes around, there's only Luke. Post Return of the Jedi, it's only Luke. So we all, and Ahsoka is kind of a weird outlier where she's not really a Jedi anymore because she said in Rebels, I am no Jedi. But like, we kind of know where all these people are going to end up. That's the biggest question I have. Like, all right, we have this amazing character in Reva now, and like people like her and Cal Kestis, it's like, but like when you get to a certain point, they can't be around.
Yeah,
they can't. Either they're going to get killed off, or they go off into a region of the galaxy where nobody knows where they are, nobody can sense them, nobody can find them. So I think that's my only gripe with. I love that they didn't. I like that it's a redemption story that doesn't end with the person being redeemed immediately dying.
Yeah.
Vader gets redeemed, immediately dies. Ben Solo gets redeemed, immediately dies.
And I liked how they did it because as soon as she saw him, I mean, like we said, obviously we know she's not going to kill him.
Yeah.
She's not going to be able to because that would break time. And then it would become a matter of like, is there a multiverse of madness in Star Wars?
Let's not get into that can of worms.
But like when she saw him, like the moment she like raised up and like cocked back her lightsaber, like she was ready, I was like, oh, she's not gonna be able to do it.
Yeah.
Like you would think that maybe she would strike and Obi-Wan would interrupt, or like Owen's right behind her and tackles her.
Or he shoots her. Yeah.
Exactly. But as soon as she like got ready, I was like, oh, she's not gonna be able to kill a kid. And I just loved how they did the whole like back and forth.
And she sees herself instead of Luke.
Exactly. She's her little baby self right there. And it gives me chills thinking about it. I love the way they did it. I just wasn't expecting it. So
I expected her to be redeemed. I just thought that.
I thought she was gonna die.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm glad she didn't.
I'm glad she didn't.
But
like again, like they're just with this one story thread. It's like, oh, so many questions. Where does she go from here? Where does the story like ultimately end?
So an Inquisitor is basically a fallen Jedi.
Oh yeah, they're all fallen Jedis that became susceptible to the dark side of.
Can Force. A fallen Inquisitor turn back to the Jedi Order?
Yes.
Has that happened?
Yeah, it's happened.
Okay.
I mean, well, I think Reva is the only one that I've seen thus far because all the Inquisitors either
die
die
or become worse.
Yeah. I mean, you'll find out in Rebels when we go back and watch Rebels that like the Grand Inquisitor has his own little interesting story behind him.
Yeah, because
who he was and who he ends up becoming.
If you're not familiar with me, I didn't have. This is the first time I've seen Inquisitors. The only Star Wars TV shows I've seen are Mando, Kenobi.
Mando, Kenobi, and Book of Boba Fett.
And Book of Boba Fett. I haven't
all the live
seen
action stuff.
All the live action. I haven't seen any animated shows. Not because I don't want to. I just haven't. So yeah, I went into this like, I've heard of the Grand Inquisitor. I've heard of the Inquisitors. But I really don't have much background to them. So when when big round head Grand Inquisitor showed up, I was kind of like, okay, I don't know.
I do like this flavor of him because he's a little bit different from
sassy.
Yeah.
I love it. That moment when he was like telling in the finale, when he was like telling Vader, like, this is our chance to wipe out the entire rebellion. Let Kenobi go. He's like, nope, we're going after Kenobi. And like the Grand Inquisitor's like,
yeah,
that was amazing. I wish that he was more in focus because
you can see that face, but
you saw exactly that face. But I wish he was more in focus because that would have been a great GIF or a great screenshot that wasn't grainy. But yeah, he's sassy. I like him. I like him a lot.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about Vader / Anakin Skywalker in this. Like, I don't think I don't think I have a problem with anything Vader or Anakin in this show. I mean, like I said, there's small little production like gripes I have, but because like when we first see him in his castle, I really wish his arms were a little bit lower because it kind of seems like
I'm a little kid in adventure.
Yeah, exactly. I got like little kid vibes. It's like lower his shoulders a bit so he's sort of sitting up
bigger.
Yeah, make him sit taller. Like have him have his hands down here rather than all the way up here. That's like my one thing. It's like didn't like the throne that much. But other than that, like small little things like that, like everything we got out of Vader's like, come on, when he stops the ship from taking off, like
it was so like it wasn't like because in like Rise of Skywalker when Rey stops that the assault lander and she stops it, but it's still kind of like in the air.
Yeah.
And then Kylo Ren goes and they're fighting it. Granted, they're tug of warring, so it's still kind of like in the air. When Vader stops his ship,
dead in its tracks.
Dead stop. And then when he just rips all the freaking doors and windows, oh my god, I loved Anakin and Vader in this show.
Yeah.
Number one, because I'm just glad that Hayden Christensen got to almost redeem himself in real life.
Yeah, exactly.
Not that he did a bad job. He didn't do a bad job. I loved him in 2 and 3. And that's saying a lot because 2 is not the easiest watch.
Yeah.
Loved him in 3. I just think that whether you like episodes 2 and 3 or not, whether you're a prequel kid or not, I know that Hayden Christensen got a lot of crap. I don't think it was him.
I think it was a lot of writing and directing.
You want to talk about bad writing?
Yeah.
So love has blinded you?
Yeah.
Because I'm so in love with you.
Yeah.
You want to talk about bad writing? Let's talk about bad writing. But yeah, I don't think I just love that Hayden Christensen got his chance to be back on screen. And I also loved, because I was like, how many episodes until we get to see Hayden's face? I didn't want him to be in the suit the whole time. So I am glad that we finally got to see him in all of his glory and that we were blessed. 2022, who would have thought that we got to see Hayden Christensen's face with a Padawan braid calling Obi-Wan Master?
That was one of those, because like those all fans are just waiting for these like fanboy moments.
Right.
We got fanboy moments in this, but it doesn't undercut the character arc and all like the great stuff we got leading up to that.
It didn't feel pandery.
Yeah, exactly. It had its place. Like that whole, what is it, episode 5? We got that flashback scene. I like how it was like side by side with the present timeline. It's like
it's like woven into the whole episode.
Yeah, and it had meaning. It's like, because Obi-Wan's like, hey, he's gonna be impatient. He's not gonna wait for us to come to him. Yeah. And immediately we flash back to it's Anakin falling back on his old like habits of,
I gotta win.
Yeah, I have to win. I'm so impatient. Everything's about winning and about victory. And it's like this, your need to prove yourself like blinds you to what the real outcome is. And
the lessons you should be learning on the way.
Yeah, exactly. And he's still learning. Obi-Wan's still teaching him like, yeah, you're still falling back on these like weaknesses that you have. So, and like that flashback, the second Hayden Christensen smiles, it's like, That's Anakin Skywalker. That's like even when he's not like on screen and he's in interviews, like he smiles. Like that's Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah, it just brings you right back to the early 2000s. I know a lot of people had gripes about why didn't they DH him.
Yeah, that was
sure
one of my production things. But like the argument for that's like you want to see Hayden's performance come through, and if it's blocked with CGI de-aging, then you're not going to really get that.
Yeah.
Again, a little nitpicky crap. I really wish they would just at least softened his eyes up a bit, like around here, because when he smiles, you even when I smile, my age kind of shows because wrinkles come out right here. I wish they just softened that up a bit, just because you're not gonna really, you can change his bone structure.
Yeah.
Like, and there's this one deepfake that I saw on TikTok. It's like, yeah, it's good, but you can tell that it's not him.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I don't know if I saw this. I don't know if I'm talking about the same one as you, but I saw a video on YouTube that I was like, yeah, you did a good job, but it looks very video game. You know, it's giving very much video game, as the kids say. That whole so like I am glad they didn't de-age him. I just wish they would have done a little bit more touch-ups here and there. Yeah.
But it had they have gone to the trouble of deep faking teenage 19-year-old Hayden Christensen and slapping it on, what is he now? 41-year-old Hayden Christensen. Then it's like, oh, I'm looking at a computer generation. I'm not looking at Hayden Christensen.
Right. I'm just glad we got, that's what a lot of people complained. Oh, I wish they would have, deep faked or de-aged, whatever. I'm kind of glad we got to see Hayden in all his glory. It didn't take away from it for me.
It didn't me either.
I was just so beyond happy to see him as a Padawan again. Yeah, he looked older. Of course.
What are you gonna do about that? It's the handcuffs of making the show when it's being made.
Exactly. I would have feared that if they did that, because you're never going to make everybody happy. I'm afraid that if they did do it, I feel like everything they did in this show, somebody complained about every little bit of it. Oh, that looked bad. The volume looked bad there. That CGI looked bad. So I feel like damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah.
I feel like they don't de-age him. Oh, he looks older. Well, no.
No bantha fodder.
Exactly. And if they de-aged him and been like, oh, it looks like crap. It doesn't barely even looks like him. Doesn't even look like him in Attack of the Clones. So I feel like,
yeah.
What are you gonna do? We're not magicians here. You can't make 41-year-old Hayden look like 20 whatever year old.
19.
Hayden.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I kind of liked it, and I was okay with it. Didn't take me out of the moment. I think it made the moment feel more
more heartfelt, like
real.
Yeah.
So yeah, I fear it would have looked chintzy. I fear it would have looked video gamey.
Yeah, and I think had they de-aged him, it would have taken me out more. I'd be like, oh.
Because didn't people complain about deepfake Luke in Mando?
In at the end of Mando, because that deepfake was terrible. I will fully admit, when we first see Luke at the end of Mandalorian season 2, it's like, oh, that looks lifeless. But then when he shows up again in Book of Boba Fett, that looks.
Book of Boba Fett.
Huh?
What happened? Where was he in Book of Boba Fett?
Who? Luke. The episodes where Boba Fett is not even in the episode. When he's training Grogu.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Wait, so you're saying that one's better?
That one looks so much better than
there was a deepfake in Mando that looked bad?
Yeah, when he shows up to save Grogu at the end. Oh, well, one single X-Wing, great. And then he comes up and he like destroys all those droids. You don't remember that?
No.
Oh no, we need to rewatch Mando.
I really got to go back and rewatch.
Yeah, but when you look back, you compare those two.
Luke lightsabered a bunch of ships.
He you don't remember those death droids?
Droidicas?
No.
Well, you do this, I think, Droidica.
We need to rewatch
Wow,
Mando.
I don't remember that at all. No, I remember Luke being in the forest with Grogu.
Yeah.
And I thought he looked good.
He looked great.
But I still think that people were like, it doesn't look authentic. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, well, Mark Hamill's like, what are you going to do? Yeah. Either you don't see young Luke again via CGI magic. Either you don't get it or you get it and you obviously it's not real. Obviously. Anyways, I kind of liked that they didn't because I feel like if they did, it would have felt cheap and it wouldn't have felt like Hayden and it wouldn't have felt like Anakin.
Yeah.
The moment he smiled, I'm like, oh, it's 2002 again.
Yeah.
Like, it just felt good.
I do like he's sort of, because like Hayden Christensen has a very, we've talked about it, he has a very unique and distinct way of talking.
In 2 and 3, yes.
Yes, especially in 2. And I do like he sort of went back and sort of like try to match that. Because when he's like, oh, I was beginning to think you weren't coming.
Yeah, he's got
Master.
like an odd, unique,
It's
almost like a drawl.
Yeah, like the way he ends his sentences.
Sorry, master.
Yeah, exactly. And I do like, because like the second, it's like, oh, I'm beginning to think you weren't coming. Like, it's like he can't get the last bit of breath out of his, out of his sentence.
Yeah.
And I do like that it felt like prequel Anakin again. I was like, ooh, especially when he says master.
He's the way he pronounces certain words and the rhythm in which he speaks.
Yes, he has a very
unique.
distinct way of his speech pattern is very like,
it's unfair. Like he kind of lingers on some like syllables.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it did feel like
it felt very genuine. Episode 2 Attack of the Clones Anakin.
Yeah.
So I really, and then when we get to the points of when it's Vader, and I do like how I think they did it throughout all the episodes. They set up like they had James Earl Jones do voice, and then they had like a synthesized, like computer generated version of it.
From what I understand.
And then they also had Hayden do the lines too, and they sort of did this blend of all three, because there were times where, especially when James Earl Jones said something, it's like that's how. He says
Vader.
That's very Vader-ish, but then there are other times where Hayden kind of comes through.
Yeah.
Especially with like "I am the way you made me." It's like that's not really how James Earl Jones says it.
Yeah, I am. I felt.
Yeah, I felt
like
very Hayden. But then there are other times where he would drone off into like master, or there was one word that he said in his castle that I was like that's
Inquisitor.
Something like that. The way he lingers on a certain syllable. Because I was like, ooh, I like it, especially in the very last finale when you see his mask split open, and it's like this combination of Hayden and James Earl Jones, and then like sometimes it's warped between the two. It's like, and they very purposely bring James Earl Jones in when he says destroy. It's like, yes, that's complete Vader.
Yeah.
But before that, it's complete Hayden.
I love the way they did that voice. With the broken mask, I love the way they did the voice, where they kind of merged them. But then sometimes it's like, that's all Hayden. Other times, that's all James Earl Jones.
Yeah.
Other times, it was them together. When he screamed Obi-Wan's name at the end, oh my God.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Yeah,
that scene was gut-wrenching.
Yeah, that whole sequence that whole lightsaber sequence is like, I think it's boring, because like when I first watched Ahsoka and Maul fight in the last season of Clone Wars, I'm like, that's probably my favorite fight now. But now this, again, by recency bias, is the total thing, but like the way I like how this last saber fight is kind of like the show is doing, is bridging between the prequels to the originals. And I like that blend of that flair from the prequels, but then that ruthlessness of like Luke when he loses control, or Vader in Empire when he's just wailing on Luke. I like that balance.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
The fight between Luke and Vader in Return is one of my top, probably my top 3 lightsaber fights of everything. Mm-hmm. Because Luke loses, he gets real close to losing control when he's just hammering on Vader. Mm-hmm. Vader's just hanging on to a rail, and then Obi-Wan does the same kind of thing when he just like on his like chest plate.
That's so cool.
Like he seems like he almost was losing control, not losing control, but just like really hitting,
really going for it. Like,
so if it kind of almost rhymed in that way that Vader's kind of just getting rocked a little bit. Mm-hmm. But then the person kind of like eases up, like, wait a minute, we're done here. It was such a good fight. And I do like the callbacks to other movies. I love the whole I will do what I must. I loved when he called him Darth.
Yeah. The Ahsoka and parallel with the mask. I know you haven't seen Rebels, but
I'm aware of the whole sides of the mask.
And it's basically a beat for beat of when the mask gets split open, they both go, Anakin? Like they're surprised as to how he looks. Aww. And it's like, it's heartbreaking, especially I
just got chills when you did that.
Yeah. Cause like, especially Ewan McGregor's performance in this scene where he's just like, I'm so sorry for everything, everything that you've been through. I feel like it's my fault.
Yeah.
And then that was one question. It's like, we know he's not going to kill Vader in this moment, but it's like, really just You're just gonna let him.
Shouldn't he have?
Yeah, but that's a whole other discussion. Like what happened? Like should he have done it? And if he did, what would that mean for the story?
I don't think he should have.
I don't think he should have.
I think it's you know, when they talk about he couldn't assassinate anybody who's not his character.
Yeah,
I don't think Obi-Wan could have done that.
If he didn't do it in revenge, he really couldn't do it now, especially seeing how he is now.
It would have been out of character for him.
Yeah,
we knew it wasn't going to happen, but even if we weren't limited by the rest of the story, I'm glad he didn't.
Yeah,
even though we knew he couldn't because of the rest of the story. But
yeah.
You get it. You get what I'm saying.
But I do like that parallel of like both his master and his apprentices are like shocked at what he has become, and like it's like he's in this suit, so it's very like you don't see Anakin, but the second you can peer through that mask,
it makes it more real.
It makes it more real. It's like
Anakin.
Yeah, and like because they both have the same expression, they both say it in the exact same way, but and I like the parallel of they both get to take off half of the mask, just different sides of it, and then everybody's making this comparison like Ahsoka can almost get through to him, but she can't get fully through to him. Obi-Wan can almost get to him, but not fully, and the only one that gets to
can get through the
mask and through to Vader and see Anakin again is his son. Because that I remember hearing somewhere that Filoni and Lucas and when they and all throughout Disney, like the one rule, no matter what stories we tell with the Skywalker saga, there's one rule: only one person can bring Darth Vader back and turn him to Anakin, and it's Luke Skywalker.
Right.
So I do like seeing that whole parallel of like her master and apprentice, even his master and his apprentice can't bring him back.
Yeah.
And they get to see a glimpse of who he is underneath the mask, and that was just so heartbreaking to see. Like I think that's what I enjoy most about the show is that it gave us all these fun like moments I love seeing, like Ruthless Vader and the rematch of the century and all that stuff. But there's just so much emotion in this show that I didn't expect, because there were several episodes where I'm like just wiping tears from my face.
Yeah, I had a couple moments too.
Yeah, and especially in the last two episodes, and when he meets Leia on Alderaan for the final time to say goodbye, that whole speech of like, these are the qualities of your parents that are gifted to you. It's like, I'm not crying.
She's so cute. She was cast so well.
Yeah, I mean there are times where it's like, it's painful obviously that a kid is acting in front of me.
I mean, how much is a kid actor gonna do?
Yeah,
they're not all Haley Joel Osment.
Yeah,
So.
Yeah, but she has this quality about her that it's just so charming and so like
scrappy.
It's
like
very
Leia.
Yeah, like she was cast perfectly. Yeah. I love what she did with the character,
and she did the best she could as a 9 or 10-year-old girl.
I think it really came through when she's being like, I am a princess of Alderaan.
Yeah.
My father will come for me, and like her standing up to the Inquisitors. I love those moments, and I think that's where she really shines. And also in the quieter moments when I can't remember what episode it was, when they're when in the back of that truck with what's his face? I already forgot his name.
Oh, Zach Braff's character.
Yeah, Zach Braff's character. And I really love the smaller moments in the show, especially that one where she's like, I kind of like you knew my parents, and it's like I wish I knew them and all that stuff. I think that's where she really came to shine, is these smaller moments of like, I wish I knew her, and like those are the moments I really loved, because it's so full of emotions. And like Obi-Wan's like, I really wish I could tell you I'm your father. I really wish I could, but I'm not. And he's shielding her from this pain of the truth. And
I wish it could be me instead of the way it actually is. Mm-hmm. And I do love, there was one time that they were on a transport. I don't know if it was after, I don't know if it was in episode 5.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know, but they were on a transport. I don't know if it was in episode 5 when Obi-Wan like knew something was wrong at the very end, and she like,
that's the end of episode 5.
No words. She just like put her hand. Maybe it was a different episode.
No, that was the end of episode 4.
I don't know how
when they escaped the Inquisitor's headquarters.
But when she just like puts her hand on his leg, and this child is comforting this grown man.
Yeah.
And it was just a really beautiful, tender little moment. No words. Like that was one of my favorite moments between the two of them too.
I love how caring she is too. Like with Lola, and she's letting other kids play with them. It's like, oh, it makes them feel better. It's like they're scared, and it makes them feel better. And it's like, oh, it's so cute.
It's so cute. I think that she played. If I had to imagine what a young Leia would be like,
yeah,
that's exactly what she gave us. because Leia's tough and scrappy, into the garbage chute, fly boy, but also you see her, I'm gonna put a blanket around Luke, just like my mom did for my dad.
And like how we rebuild the rebellion from this. Like we have everything we need.
Yeah,
it's just small, quieter moments that Leia just shines through.
Yeah, I think she did a wonderful job. I'm speaking of baby Leia. I just also think it's interesting and refreshing. I mean, we got Luke for all the other movies.
Yeah.
So for this show to come along, and it's kind of like, you see him pretending to fly a fighter. You see him sleeping a little bit. And at the end, you see him at a store or whatever. And you see him. Like you really see this much of him.
Yeah, I do love that scene though of like. I like seeing the relationship between Luke and Owen.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, your uncle's a patient man. He's like, not that patient. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, that's such a cool moment. I want a little bit more of that. But like, we have so many movies of Luke.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I kind of almost love Luke Skywalker. Absolutely. Probably one of my top favorite characters, obviously.
Yeah.
But it was kind of refreshing to be like, Luke, you can take a back seat.
Yeah.
We're going to focus over here because we haven't really had focus over here before. So it was kind of nice that we didn't be like, hey, you want to know more about Luke?
It's like we know
a lot
about Luke.
Like I'll always take Luke content, but it was kind of nice to see the focus shifted elsewhere.
Yeah.
And get to see other people be developed out, even if they're children at the time.
Yeah. Speaking of other characters being developed, Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru.
Beru is
bad. Oh, she's so good. Like, I'm glad that Bonnie Peace got to say more than hello.
Right. I know. As soon as she like showed up in that episode, I'm like, she gets to talk. All right.
And she gets more than just talk, baby. Oh my God. She's so good. She's so cool.
When Owen's like, yeah, man, Reva's coming. And then Beru just like opens up her little panic drawer. And she's like, all right, baby boy, time to sack up. Here's your rifle. Like,
and Owen's surprised. He's like, when did you get these?
I've been waiting for a rainy day, baby.
And she already has a plan in place. She's like, she's going to come at sundown. We need to fortify it. Because like Owen's like, we need to get help. We need to do this. We need to get out of here. And she's like, no, I'm not going to bring anybody else into this. I don't want anybody else getting hurt.
And there's not really much time.
Us. Yeah, it's not much time. It's us. And I love how willing and how far these two are willing to go for Luke.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, because like Owen got a bad rap from fans before. It's like, well, why won't this guy let his nephew go off into the galaxy?
He's so crabby in A New Hope.
Yeah,
he's also like an old dude who's just been through a lot of crap.
Yeah, but I do like how the show gives more context to the original trilogy. Like before, it's like Owen's like, why wouldn't he let Luke go off and have these adventures? And you look back on this show, it's like he loves his nephew. All he wants is nephew. He just wants his best for his nephew. He wants his nephew to be safe.
Right. Because
it's his family. He's like, I'll do anything to protect this kid.
Why would I let you join the Imperial Academy?
Yeah, when you can
sacrifice yourself for the Empire?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he's just trying to keep him safe.
Yeah. And I like seeing that side of Owen because it's like, yeah, he's a family guy. I'll do what I can to protect it, even if it means keeping this person that's supposed to be watching over you away from us.
Right.
Because he knows if he comes stomping around, Inquisitors, like they just did, are going to come looking for my nephew.
Yeah.
So I do like, especially Beru. Like I said, she's ready to scrap. She's been thinking about this day for a long time, and Owen is just like tired old moisture farmer. Like,
just tired.
Keep Ben away from here.
You just know that Beru has been like, she probably had the job of picking mushrooms out the evaporators at some point.
Yeah. And
she got a lot of time to think when that's what you're doing all day. And she's probably like, ooh, I'm going to put all my guns in that hole. And one day.
Just go on, try to roll up on this farm and see what happens.
Try it, Inquisitor. Like she just knew. And I loved being able to see her have that moment because she didn't do much at all. Yeah, she had one line. So yeah, I did like seeing that. And it does give more
context and
background and context to Owen because it's either you let him go to the academy, probably die for the Empire. And we all know that, and even Luke was like, nah, I hate the Empire, but it's either that or follow old Obi-Wan, and then maybe sacrifice yourself for the Jedi Order. So it's like, how about I just keep him here?
Yeah.
go get me some moisture and stay safe.
Yeah, stay here. We're
Stay
safe.
here.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, I really like seeing. I do like that small little moment. Like I did like this. There are big moments in the show that it's like, oh, that's awesome. But then again, like I said, there's these small little moments that I loved seeing, especially like that small little moment of like, oh, I'm not that patient kid. I love seeing that. And also the Liam Neeson thing. We all knew it was coming. We all like, if you didn't think Liam Neeson was going to come back as Qui-Gon, it's like, I do people like, oh, we got to wait till the very last moment to see him. It's like, yeah, that's the point.
It's called build up.
That's the entire point of the show. The entire point of the show is to get Obi-Wan from where he is at the beginning to being ready to see his old master again when he's back in balance.
He was not ready at the beginning of the show.
Yeah. And like, if you didn't think, he's like, the entire show, he's like, Master, where are you?
Yeah. It's called foreshadowing and build up.
Yeah. So like, I did like, when I first saw, I was like, that's all we're getting of him.
Yeah.
But I do like it, and like that small one when we got him, it's like, it's classic Qui-Gon. It's like, oh, it took you long enough.
Yeah.
Come on. We got things to do.
Sassy Qui-Gon.
Sassy Qui-Gon Jinn. It's like, I loved seeing it. At first, I was like, oh, that beard kind of looked weird on him. But, you know,
was it like glued on or whatever?
Yeah, it looked like a fake beard. And it looked, obviously, it was a wig, but like,
I don't care.
I don't care.
We got to see Liam Neeson again.
Yeah. And it was cool. Like, I was always here, Obi-Wan. And like the way, again, Qui-Gon Jinn has a very like unique way of talking. And it's like, oh, it's straight out of Phantom Menace.
And while I'm very excited about seeing Qui-Gon back, I'm also, I feel like nobody is talking. I mean, I'm sure some people are, but I feel like nobody is appreciating that we got Ian McDermott again.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Even for this much time, we got to see him beat Palpatine again.
I do like he's this subtle, because like one of the things I love Ian McDermott in all like the emperorness and like sometimes, but like in Revenge and even in Rise, sometimes it feels like I have to talk to you about this. Like it kind of almost feels like a caricature of.
Okay, well, slow your roll. I love him in Rise. I understand. You know what I mean?
It's a little. It's like
Revenge. Yes.
Yeah.
Love him in Rise.
Yeah. Like it's dialed up to a point where it's like, because like my favorite Palpatine out of anything is Return. Like it's so understated. Yeah. It's so like, it's like that nice little balance of like evilness and. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, and I do like they did do more of that. Like sort of dialed back Emperor, not like, no. Yeah, it's like, it's a subtle, like, subtleness. Because I think that's what Palpatine is when he's at his best. So it's like, he's very subtle. And like, you can tell. Because the second Luke comes onto the, in Return of the Jedi, when he goes into the throne room, it's like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
And it's that little subtleness that I liked seeing.
Well, it's almost like you get more intimidated by the quiet, intimidating one than the one that's just like yapping away. You know, bark is worse than their bite. So yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yeah. Well, I mean, we only got him for just a minute. Yeah. I said bit and minute together. Yeah,
just a little bit. Yeah.
But yeah, no. I thought that was pretty cool, and I don't think people really gave him enough credit. I'm very excited that we got to see Ian McDermott back. I love him as Palpatine.
Yeah, it's a thing. Like anytime Vader comes on scene, or like anytime Vader shows up in anything, the scene and the show and the movie, it ceases to be about that one thing, and it's all about Vader. It's kind of the same with Palpatine. The second he comes into the frame and the second he comes on the scene, it ceases to be whatever that show is, and it's like. Palpatine. Yeah. So I do like that. Like you couldn't have Vader in all his Vaderness without Palpatine. Just for a little bit.
Yeah.
But
to shift the focus a little bit, side or characters. I feel bad saying side characters because they all play a role.
Supporting characters
is a better way to say it. Tala.
Oh yes.
Roken.
Yes.
Don't remember the name of that big boy droid.
Oh, yeah, the load lifter.
Oh, I love him. He's so cute.
So, yeah.
The moment we saw him, I'm like, somebody's already working on their cosplay. Or they should.
They should, yeah.
Because he was just so like... But he was just so cute.
Yeah.
And so protective. And I just thought he was adorable.
Oh, it's so heartbreaking how they went out, though. I know. It's like, if somebody was going to sacrifice themselves for a better cause, it would be him and her.
Yeah, I loved Tala. I like Roken because at first he kind of seemed like he was almost like couldn't be bothered. Like, I got other stuff to do here. But then I feel like by the end of it, didn't Obi-Wan tell him like,
yeah, you're the future.
Right.
I love that scene so much because it's like Obi-Wan willing to do what is necessary to protect these people, but then they're like, no, we need you. You can't leave us near. And it's like,
yeah, like wasn't it? I don't know if it was Roken or the other people that was like looking at it like, you're abandoning us.
Yeah,
we need you. This isn't about. Oh, it's not about us. It's about you, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's like, no. Actually,
it is about you.
He is trying to protect you.
Yeah.
And I feel like that kind of clicked for Roken in the end, which I'm glad because I liked him. I really liked the fact he didn't get used enough, but I like the fact that he at first seemed like I don't really want any part of this, and then by the end of it, he seemed like he had a new purpose. Like, okay, wait, this is my place.
And I do want to know who his wife was because his wife was a Jedi.
I know some people were guessing that it was Reva before she turned. I saw somebody have that theory, and that's why he was so like weird about it.
I don't see that because the timelines really don't line up for that. But I am curious. It's like, oh, that's why he's helping because his wife was a Jedi and he helped Jedi get out.
Right.
So, but I do like how he's sort of like this
reluctant.
But he's like this metaphor for the rebellion.
Yeah.
So, and like you can see Tala like being a spark of inspiration.
Tala was in it to win it from the minute she started.
And I do like how she's just this spark of the roots of the rebellion for Leia.
Yeah.
Like this inspiration. I like how she puts Lola in the holster. It's like, it's so cute. Yeah.
And also Haja, he was cool.
Yeah. Yeah, he was really, really cool. I do like that moment.
Smarmy at first.
Yeah.
But he was supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah, because I do like he goes from being this like, oh, out for myself, and then like in that same episode, it's like, I'm here for you, Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
So I like that. The supporting characters are really like inspirational in this show.
Yeah. Because he went from this like swindler.
Yeah.
Definitely scamming you for your money to, I just love that in that last episode where he was like, basically telling Obi-Wan, I'll do whatever I can. You have my word. You have my
I
pledge, basically.
I promise you that I'll get her home.
You know, I don't know how much it means coming from a fake Jedi and a whatever. And Obi-Wan's just like, that's enough for me.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of like, oh.
Yeah. I do. Yeah. Like I said, small moments that bring so much emotion. So, before we get a wrap up, like we'll come back to like gushing about stuff, but what would you say are some of your gripes about the show? Just very briefly, like what would you say? Like
I don't have a lot, so it is brief. And I've told you before, the only thing that made me kind of go like was first episode when the bad guys in Flea are chasing Leia.
Oh yeah. Limitations of a child running around.
I think there are ways around that.
Yeah.
It just kind of seemed it was kind of funny that, you know, they're chasing her through a forest and like there's like a tree and like a branch that's just barely hanging off of the tree and she ducks underneath it and 3 or 4 grown men are like, how do I get around this branch? Like a branch stops them because she ducked underneath it.
Yeah.
Like they could have just been like, bah, out of my way.
Yeah.
I think that the choreography, I understand what you're saying about a child actor and they have limitations, but you can choreograph around her.
Yeah.
You know, I think there could have been, I mean, I'm no fight choreographer.
No stunt choreographer.
No stunt choreographer, but I think that probably could have been sold a little bit better.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people complained about some of the effects and the T-47s looked like crap.
That was my complaints, yeah.
Maybe I'm a simple-minded pleb, but I was like, okay. I don't mind.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. There was one time in the episode where we first met Roken when they brought up, I don't know if it was Jane or what.
It was a hologram
of a planet. And I was kind of like, it probably could be done better. But it's not going to stop. It's not going to make me go, oh, the whole episode's ruined.
Yeah, that was, I think that out of the entire series, I think the problems I had were, again, small, was like the production design and the art direction of, like, you have this like, why does the volume look so good in Mando?
Yeah.
And it doesn't look as good in this. Like, I really think it came down to like the art direction, because like when you look at it in Mando, they purposely place like ships and boxes and stuff to give depth to the volume. And like you can't tell, like, where does the volume start and where does the set begin? Because like it blends in so perfectly, especially in like hangar scenes and stuff. But then in this one, it's like you can tell where the set stops and where the volume begins. And like they didn't do enough to blend the two together. And it was just like, I really wish it would have done more to give me that illusion, because that's really what it is. It's an illusion to trick your eye into thinking that we're on this thing, and they just really didn't do enough. You really felt that limitation in when all the stormtroopers are in that little that cavern. It's like, oh, we can tell that they built out the set to make it look like, and like, oh, we can only fit so many stormtroopers in here.
This is where I'm just simple me.
Yeah.
I never noticed that, and it never bothered me.
Yeah.
I never really looked at a scene and went like, this looks like basically green screen.
Yeah.
That never, maybe I'm a dummy, but I never looked at a scene like, the volume looks terrible. Yeah, like I never thought that.
Because we were on a happy hour with everybody, and Molly kind of put it the best analogy. It's like, it looked like a stage play, just because like all the environments were flat, and you can tell like they were on a set.
I'm just a simple dimmy, I guess.
Yeah, it felt like a really high production stage play at times. But I really wish they would have done more to like blend the volume with the set a bit more. But again, small little nitpicky things. Like you said, that hologram, I was like, ugh.
That was the only effect. I mean, even the T-47s, I was like, all right.
Yeah.
That was the only effect, that hologram, that made me go like, this kind of looks like the kind of stuff they did in the prequels.
Yeah.
Like I would expect it to look a little different 20 years later, 20 plus years later, 20 years later.
Yeah.
But that was like literally the only effect that made me go like, interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd have to go back and rewatch things and have you go, look at the volume.
Yeah.
Because that never crossed my mind ever.
Yeah.
I don't
know. There were just times where I was like, I really wish. But like, again, it's such a small thing that I was able to let it go. And then they gave me more moments like, Vader pulling stuff out of the air and all that stuff. Like, it gave me all this other story, everything story and writing wise. I was like, yes, give me that. But there's just small little production things. I was like, I
think I just get wrapped up in the story to the point where I don't have an eye for production stuff. I think that might be my problem.
But I think it is very clear because of the last two, especially the last episode, the effects were on point.
And people were like, oh, maybe they just saved all their budget.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like they wanted to go out on a huge high note in this amazing like fight between Vader and Obi-Wan. It's like, let's save the budget for that.
Yeah, because we got a lot of rocks to throw.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah, So I think that's what might have happened. It's like we have so much budget, we need to focus it on like the real important moments.
Yeah.
So, but other than that, like I love the show. And
Me too.
There's just so much, like I said, there's so much emotion in this show.
Yeah. I feel like we didn't talk about her enough, but I can't say how much I loved Reva.
Yes.
I don't think we talked about her as much as we should have, but I loved her, and I'd be curious to see if she has more of us. Maybe they read a book about her. If they can't figure out a way to put her into another show somehow, I could see them writing a book.
I guess if this Cal Kestis show is true, I could see her fitting into that very well.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Because that would be really cool to see her pop up again and just see where her story goes and see what she's doing.
Yeah.
So I can also see that like, oh, here's a novel about where she ends up.
Yeah, I could see that because you can't give a TV series to every person.
Yeah.
As much as, I mean, I'd love to see a show, but I just don't know that you could, especially now that she's redeemed, I'm not sure that you can give an entire show, even a limited run. I don't know.
You can give a story or two to her.
You could.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, which begs the question I think that we'll close out this out with is, do you want to see a Kenobi season 2?
I remember you saying that you're not sure that, given the timeline and where we are and where we need to end up, if there's enough, not that there's not enough content.
Yeah.
But is it needed?
Yeah. What else are we going to tell? What story are we going to tell with Obi-Wan? Because this feels like a very completed, like a very nicely wrapped up story with Kenobi that bridges the gap between where he came from to where we know where he's going to end up.
Because he left Leia. He's going back to Tatooine, like we presume, or he did.
Yeah.
That's kind of where we come in to, I mean, I know A New Hope is 9-10 years after this, but it's kind of like, okay, well, he already left Leia and he's already going back to Tatooine. What else is going to happen?
Yeah.
9 or 10 years is a lot of time for things to happen, though.
Yeah.
And the thing that just makes me go like, we have to get something else is like, didn't Ewan McGregor at Celebration say, I hope you enjoy episodes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and 8, and 9. And it's like, Ewan, what? Are you drunk? Or like, are you trying to hint at something?
Yeah.
There's more.
I could see a movie. If they're going to give us another story with Kenobi with Ewan McGregor in live action, I could see a movie to where you can say like a one last adventure before that leads up, and I would like to maybe explore the more how he learns to become one with the Force, because there is a story in a certain point of view where the moment he turns into the Force, where Vader strikes him down in A New Hope, that it flashes back to another moment where he's defending Luke on the farm, and another moment in the past, and the present moment. So he's starting to experience time all at once. So if we can get something, if we can get a story like that to where it flashes back between certain moments, and then there is a purpose to bringing Hayden back for it, and there is a purpose to flashbacks. There's a purpose to telling this story. I can see something like that, but I don't think there's enough there to flesh out a whole nother season.
I'm sure they could figure out a way.
They could.
And I do think I saw some sort of an article where I think both Ewan and Hayden said that they would be open and down to play their roles again.
Yeah.
I was so happy to see the two of them back that I'm like, get another season. I don't even care what happens.
If they do come back for season 2, it's like my only question is, what story are we telling?
But would
it be worth it?
Overjoyed.
Yeah, I'd be like, I'm still gonna watch it.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it regardless.
I'm gonna watch it regardless.
You could say that it's Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan sitting in his hut, playing solitaire with himself, and I'd still be like, "Is it Ewan McGregor? Got me. I'm in." Do we get to see flashbacks of him playing cards with Anakin?
Yeah.
Thumb wrestling? Sure.
Yeah, it could be just be him and Qui-Gon talking, and then flashing back to remember them when this happened, and they flash back to young Obi-Wan Kenobi on an adventure with Qui-Gon for an episode, and then flashback to Anakin and Ahsoka and stuff like that. And let the fanboys be happy. We get Clone Wars flashbacks.
Yeah, since we never got like a full-on Clone Wars flashback.
Yeah. That was something that if Ahsoka would have showed up in the show, like a young Ahsoka, I was like, I would have lost my mind. But that was a far Hail Mary, want to see type of thing.
Find a way to give us another show where you get younger Obi-Wan, you get flashback Anakin, you have a young flashback Lando, a young flashback Han, let Alden Ehrenreich come back, and young Ahsoka. Just give us all the young versions of everybody and let us relive our youth.
Which also brings the question of people are like, oh, spin-off Vader show. Would you want to see that?
Is it Hayden Christensen?
Yeah.
Sure. I'm down.
I'd be down, because who doesn't want to see Vader wreck shop? Him stopping the ship dead in its tracks, that's awesome.
So cool.
Again, it also begs the question, what story are we telling?
It
all adds up. Where in the time when we're doing this, what mission is he going on? What is he doing?
I just say give it to Dave Filoni, Deborah Chow, Jon Favreau, and I'm in. Yeah. No matter what it is.
Yeah.
And I'm down.
Yeah, I did like the direction of the show. There are certain story beats where I was like, oh, they got away a little too easy, or they could have ended it away. Like I said, when the Vader Kenobi things, the fight just ended, it's like, really? He's just going to walk away from it?
Yeah.
But there's small little things like that. I was like, but overall, I think Deborah Chow did an amazing job with the show. Because like I said, there's small little emotional moments that kept me in the show.
Yeah.
Through its entirety.
Overall, loved this show.
Overall, loved this show.
And I would be absolutely down for another season. I just don't know what story they'd tell. And I don't care. So
where would you rank this amongst the live action shows?
Recency bias is always a thing. It's hard not to put it at first.
Yeah.
So at this moment in time, I'd probably put it as first, Mando is second, and Boba Fett is third.
Third, yeah.
But then again, I clearly don't remember what happened in Mando. So I need to go back and rewatch it.
I do like the structure of Kenobi more than the structure of Mando, because Mando felt very video game mission. He's like, hey, you want this one thing? You got to do this for me first, and then they're off to another planet.
Greetings, weary traveler. Would you like this Beskar? Go back to this planet and retrieve it. Yeah.
It felt very MMO side mission type of thing sometimes. Not that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
But I do like that the through line in the show is a very, very much a through line. It was leading to one point.
Well, at face value right now, Kenobi has an advantage that it was a limited 6 episode run that we know of, which is probably all it is.
Yeah.
But you're going to get more of an action-packed thing, whereas in Mando, we've already got 2 whole seasons and we're going on a third.
Yeah.
So they have a little bit more wiggle room to have fluffier episodes from here, here and there. Knowing that the third season of Mando's coming out soon, we're gonna have to find time somewhere
to rewatch
seasons 1 and 2 because clearly I need a refresher.
I want to go back and rewatch Kenobi again because I'm sure there is stuff that I missed.
Same.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, right now with recency bias being a very real thing, Kenobi, Mando, Boba Fett. Maybe with a rewatch of Mando, I'd feel differently, but I'm not sure. Like I said, Kenobi has the advantage of being more action packed because it's a smaller run. If that's what you're into.
Yeah.
So I just need to rewatch Mando is really what I'm trying to say. Pedro Pascal? Yeah. I'll take it. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we'll go and end here. Again, overall thoughts on the show. I love it.
Love it.
He's my favorite character for a reason, and I think this show shows why he's my favorite character.
Yeah.
So yeah. So
bad writing be damned.
Yeah. I really would like to talk to people like, oh, there's clunky writing. It's
let me know when Lucasfilm picks you up.
It's like where's the bad writing? You want to talk about bad writing?
Let's talk about episode 2.
Yeah. The dialogue in it is
dying each day since you came back into my life.
Oh, it's painful sometimes.
What did you say? I love you. And before we die, I want you to know.
So with that, we will end the show here. Nicki Dimalanta, where can they find you online?
Twitter at Dimmy, DIMMMYYY.
As for me, Twitter and Instagram at Drew Dimalanta, DIMALANTA, and on TikTok at Rogue Leader Drew. If you're listening to this on audio form, please follow, feed, and rate us.
And if you're watching on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, click the bell icon in the lower right-hand corner, see when we do things on YouTube.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Going Rogue. May the Force be with you. Always.